Welcome. Hello, I'm Darrel Bowman, your IT professional.
And I'm Mel West, your business advisor. Thank you for joining us today and every Tuesday from noon to 1 for BizTechTalk, where we're hosting discussions with local and national business leaders.
Throughout our show, we're going to be talking to a variety of high-tech and business professionals about the latest technology and business trends which are happening today and coming tomorrow. And, well, last week we had a great show here on geofencing. Brought in a company called 10 and 2 Technologies. We talked about geofencing and how it can help, well, in this case, protect your businesses and from lots of liabilities with a product called BizTech and another one for personal called One Protect. And what were those all about?
Well, it's really about protecting you and making sure that your employees aren't out texting and driving. I mean, that's really comes down to it. And it's interesting that, as we talked about that the next morning as I was commuting, I heard about I don't know if you'd call it a landmark lawsuit that's out there, but not only are they going after the driver, but they're also going after the person that was texting them. So
Really?
and so this is very timely.
I find that a little bit tough, man. And just because you're texting somebody, you didn't know how you know they're driving.
Right. Well, and they were having a conversation. So I don't know the complete details, but they were saying that it's an unprecedented lawsuit that's been filed, and a topic or a product, that app that 10 provides, that would be something good for a company, not only for a company, but just for individual uses as well.
Well, yeah, it's ready for BizProtect is ready for the business on the Android phones, and One Protect is ready for your family on your Android phones. And I believe the iPhone is in development on both platforms. But what a way to ensure that your family members aren't out there texting and driving, because the way that app works, it stops you from doing that, and making sure that your employees do that. The only thing that they can do is just make a phone call, and they can't even actually make a phone call with that. It can only receive a phone call if it's Bluetooth enabled. What a cool app!
Or make those emergency phone calls, and that's really it. So this takes geofencing to a whole nother level, and it's really about safety and security, but it's how you save time and make money, or in this case, save money, because it's going to protect you in the long run.
Hey, well, that was a great show, like I said last week. But hey, how did you celebrate Memorial Day weekend? I hear you took a little ride.
Well, yeah, I did. I actually we left down here at Eagle Leather with the Vietnam and Legacy Vet Motorcycle Club, rode down to the state capitol, where we celebrated the 25th anniversary of the dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. And
it's a beautiful memorial out there.
It's a fantastic memorial, and it celebrates the 1,116 Vietnam vets that were either killed or are missing in action from Washington State. It come from completely public or donated funds. So it took a while to raise the money to put it together, but they finally did it, celebrated the 25th anniversary, and then there was a dedication of 3 new flags. That was the only memorial down there that didn't have flags at it. So they've resurrected, I guess, or put together 3 flags. The American flag, the state flag, and then the POW and MIA flag, and did a dedication ceremony yesterday to have that. And so it was a really nice ceremony. The weather was great, and they had the chopper fly over and do a little ceremony. So it was beautiful. And I tell
those
you
ceremonies are always awesome. They're gut-wrenching.
There was a lot of bikes. There wasn't any parking room available around the Capitol. So I was really amazed with the turnout.
Well, there's always a parking room for a bike. Come on.
Well, they were parked. It was pretty amazing, because I didn't know what the turnout would be, but there was 3 rows deep going down that strip there. So it was pretty good. How about yourself? What did you do, Darrel?
Well, actually, this weekend we spent a little time the traditional barbecue and so forth, but we were out at a memorial cemetery, and we were actually helping some people clean some headstones and so forth. So we spent a long time doing that, a couple 3 hours doing it, and it was a good day. We had there were some folks out there that brought all their equipment, and they got together on just the weekend and said, you know what, these headstones need to be cleaned and taken care of, and it's in the area where I was at, it was pretty much volunteer only. And speaking of which, you just mentioned the memorial for Vietnam Memorial. I also helped in the past gain the funds for the Stryker Brigade Memorial Fund and Memorial Park out on JBLM, and all of those funds are always donated because Congress can't give money to a nonprofit or to those kinds of efforts other than the cemeteries like Arlington and the veteran cemeteries and so forth. But for those memorials, they always come from donated funds, and they're always looking for ways to help with the maintenance and help with the management of those parks because they do take a little bit of extra cash. So if you've got the opportunity, there's a great memorial park out on JBLM that's still in development. Great Stryker Brigade Memorial out there for 4-2 that I helped raise some funds for in the past, and then that's the same way that this happened with the Vietnam Memorial. We're doing that, and that is for all of the people who have lost their lives in war from JBLM.
Well, and the important thing to mention there is that it's not how much, because the large donations are great, and definitely we'd love to see some large donations come in. I'm sure that you'd love to see that. But even the dollar donations, one of the things that really stood out yesterday is they were talking about putting that memorial together over 25 years ago and pulling it all together. There was many $1 donations, and those were just as important as the big donations that came in to help put that together. So give what you can. Our brothers and sisters out there, they've given their lives for our freedom. So we talk a lot about that, and we want to honor them in the best way, and that was, the one of the things that I think is we're doing a better job this time around with our military. We still got work to do, and that's one of the things that we talk about, Darrel, is helping our military come back and helping them find jobs.
For those people that made it home, we want to do what we can to get them employed and give them the opportunity that they've earned that right to get in front of these employers out there and show what they can do. You may not hire everybody because they may not be a fit, but at least they've earned their opportunity for an interview and for your consideration. So we don't want to hand out. We want to hand up. That's what I think is important, that these folks who have fought for our freedoms and so forth, they deserve that.
And also, if you have the opportunity to seek out a veteran-owned business and give them a little support, that's another thing that we'd like to ask as well.
They're sacrificing yet again. You and I both know as business owners, you don't just go out there and start. You're sacrificing a lot to create a business and to grow your organization. So it's sacrificing yet again. But,
most definitely.
I think now is a good time.
Let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll be right back after this messages.
Yep. I'm Darrel Bowman.
And I'm Mel West, and you're listening to Clay 1180.
CloudSway removes the hassle of small business financial management. Easily upload receipts, bills, invoices, POs, and other business expenses through your mobile device, email, or scanner. CloudSway automatically scans your data and matches each transaction to your bank and credit cards. Invite staff to send their corporate receipts, allowing the team to contribute and collaborate, managing all company financial data in one location. CloudSway's reports and alerts help to guard against fraud and expense abuse. CloudSway makes it easy to protect your company's most prized possession, its financial security. Visit cloudsway.com.
Are you tired of maintaining or upgrading your business technology year after year just to keep up? Moore's Law states technology will keep getting faster and smaller year after year. Office N and Icon is making Moore's Law obsolete by giving you infinite computing power. It's always new with unlimited resources. It's fast, affordable, secure, reliable, and flexible with endless CPU, RAM, and hard drive. Never worry about a virus, upgrades, backups, or patches again. With Office N and Icon, your office is anywhere at any time from any device. Unleash your power at OfficeNandIcon.com.
Few things say more about your business than the quality of the photos in your ads and on your website. Corporate photographer Rick Doms specializes in custom photography for discriminating corporations around the world and right here in Tacoma. Rick's photos have graced the pages of Forbes, Fortune, Barron's, the Wall Street Journal, and the marketing materials of a host of great American companies. Companies like yours. See what Rick Doms photography can do for your business on the web at rickdoms.com. RickDahms.com. AimBiz.com.
AimBiz.com brings you the life of a business website. The majority of business websites can't be found by search engines, so their owners lose customers and money. An AIM business website wins new customers on Google and Facebook. Imagine your website with great content management, an integrated blog, clean designs, and clear messages. To top it off, at AimBiz.com, you get a free website design mock-up before you ever spend a dime. For more information, go to AimBiz.com. That's AIMBIZ.com.
Hey, welcome back to BizTechTalk. I'm Darrel Bowman, your IT professional, and I'm here with
Mel West, your business advisor.
We're on Clay 1180 every Tuesday from noon to 1. Visit us at BizTechTalk.net. Listen to our shows, download our podcasts, and email us with your comments or suggestions. We're at info@BizTechTalk.net. And today we are talking about assessments and so forth. So I'm going to let Mel go ahead and introduce our guest today.
Well, we're going to be joined by Favor Larson. She's from Target Training International, and she's been with them since 2006, and she's one of their senior business services consultants. And what TTI, and we'll let her explain a little bit more, but they take a unique approach to being able to look at jobs and assessments and helping people improve the workspace. And that's what she really does, is she helps business owners or her associates improve the quality of the workplace through these assessments.
So what do these assessments do? I mean, what are they about?
And that's what we'll get into. But basically what it allows us to do is to look at an individual. And one of the keys to communication is by understanding yourself. And so...
we're going to into head games now. Whoa.
Yeah, it's not measuring, like your knowledge or anything like that. It's really looking at behaviors and attitudes and stuff. So,
okay. Well, I'm looking at this sheet of favors and the certifications. She's got a list, a whole alphabets there.
I do.
Hey, welcome aboard, Favor. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So what are all these acronyms, CBBA, CPMA, Trimetrics HD? Are you a hard drive or a CSP, a CPEQA? I mean, you got me confused.
Yeah, believe it or not, I am not technically savvy, so none of these are software certifications.
Oh, there goes the tech out the door.
But you are well trained in marketing, so.
Yes. Basically, what those stand for, so I am a certified staffing professional, so basically I understand all of the different employment rules, in-place employment laws, EEO criteria, those sorts of things, but which really leads to all of my assessment certifications. So you're missing one of mine. I have a EQ certification now that I just added. But TTI is an assessment company. We started back in this sort of model back in 1984, and we look at people as being very complex, obviously. And so what we're trying to do is there pieces of about an individual that we can start to identify or assess or classify. So we can assess behavioral styles. So that's my certified professional behavioral analyst designation. We can assess motivation, what drives a person, what makes them feel intrinsically energized about doing whatever they're doing. So that's Certified Professional Motivators Association. We have an acumen and personal skills assessment we call the Trimetrics HD. So that's my Certified Personal Trimetrics HD analyst. And we do also offer a certification in emotional intelligence. So that's a Certified Professional Emotional Quotient Analyst. So I'm actually missing that designation on my certification. But we have so many different pieces of an individual that we really try and identify all these different parts of an individual: skills, emotional intelligence, communication style, motivation, how they think, their acumen. And we start to identify all the different pieces of an individual, and then we break it down and start looking at the pieces of a job and trying to make sure people are properly aligned with their job.
So you're telling me that they're always not just motivated by money?
No, not everybody is motivated by money. You'd certainly think so, but some people are motivated because they like to learn. Some people are motivated because they want to help people. Other people are motivated not because of money, but because of power. Very slight differences there, but money and power are different. So Yeah, not everyone's motivated for that higher paycheck or that incentive bonus plan that the company just started.
So what you're doing is you're trying to just put the corporate together, finding out what your corporate strategy is, what your corporate culture is, and then put those people together. Is that what we're talking about?
Yep. Our entire kind of job matching philosophy is let's look at all the different positions in the organization, see how we can understand them. Obviously, from a consulting standpoint, we want to look at the big picture. So how does the company utilize all the different positions? And then from a hiring perspective, how do we hire each different position based on its own qualifications?
So what are you mentioned a couple, but what are the different factors that are pulled in there?
Absolutely. Probably our most commonly used is the behavioral assessment. So many of you might be familiar with the DISC, 4-factor behavioral model. So that's our most common.
What is that?
Sure. It gets to communication style. So is a person more people-oriented or task-oriented? Are they more outgoing or introverted? Are they task-driven or people-oriented? So what's their communication style? It's observable human behavior. The 4 different factors of DISC: dominance, which is how you handle problems or challenges; influence, which is how you handle people or contacts; steadiness, which is what type of pace or consistency do you prefer; and compliance, which is all about how do you respond to rules or procedures. Those are the 4 different factors, and you plot either high or low on each of those 4 factors, and leads to kind of your communication style, if you will.
So does it measure intelligence at all?
That's a good question. TTI does not really focus much on IQ. We haven't really found any proof or indicator that your level of intelligence in terms of your IQ factor will lead to a certain level of success in performance on a job. We just haven't found that sort of a correlation, so we've chosen not to focus on IQ because it really isn't something you can coach to. You can't really develop it, and if it's not a hard and fast indicator of success on the job, it's not something we wanted to focus on. Good question.
So then where does a person start as they get into this, and say a business owner, where would they start with something like this?
We get a lot of different questions. So it's usually coming from maybe 3 different questions lately. One is, I need to hire for this position, and what I've done in the past for hiring or selection clearly wasn't as effective as it may be. So maybe I want to bring in a new tool. Otherwise, it might be development of current employees. I've got a good staff, but I'd like them to be a great staff. How can I develop those employees? Or a factor that we're going to see more and more in the future is succession planning. I have these folks who are planning on retiring. I don't want to start from scratch. How do I start to plan a good succession plan for them? So TTI is just the assessment provider. So we actually work with a network of associates. So like Mel is one of our associates with West Business Concepts. And so we provide the assessments through our associates. If a business owner were to contact TTI, we'd find an associate in their area who can specialize in what they're doing and get them connected. And then the conversation typically will start with, well, what is it that you're wanting to solve? What kind of talent management concerns do you have? And then we'll look at and see what kind of tools would best be used and how do we want to go ahead and implement that.
So what makes TTI's approach unique from everybody else's? I mean, assessments, I've seen a lot of those from different sources and so forth. What makes you folks unique?
Sure. We actually are very proud of our intellectual property. We have 2 patents currently, and I think 2 are pending. One of our patents that we're most proud of is on our job benchmarking or job matching. This is the entire process we go through to analyze a job and basically start from scratch. So remove any personal biases. We're not going to try and clone anyone currently in the job. We are not going to try and use a biased opinion of one particular individual. We're going to take a panel of people through a brainstorming process to identify the 3 to 6 key accountabilities of the position, utilize those key accountabilities to take the job assessment, which is unique and different than the type of assessment a person would take, to create the job profile. So our perspective is very unique. Most other assessment providers will either use kind of an industry standard, a salesperson is a salesperson, or they'll just try and clone the top performer. But the trouble with that is, selling high-end jewelry is very different than selling a very technical software program. So off the shelf doesn't really work because positions are so unique to each organization. And then looking at just your top performers, you're really limiting your scale. So even though that might be a top performer, what if potentially you could get a superior performer, but you wouldn't know what that looks like? So we really start from scratch and say, what if we built the perfect robot? And that's kind of our benchmarking process.
So this takes, excuse me.
Oh, there we go. Got a radio voice there, buddy.
So this takes into account what everybody that would be taking those assessments would look at if this was a superior product. Does it look at it beyond just that position?
We do tend to also focus on what's the culture of the overall organization, just as an additional standpoint. So we might just say, this is an organization that really values learning, or this is an organization that really is focused on giving back to the community. So we do a little bit of work on the organization, but from an assessment piece, we tend to focus specifically on the position. But what really comes into play then is the expertise of your associate, who, as a coach or a consultant, can help with that big picture approach and say, well, how does this fit into the bigger picture? How does it connect with the other positions in the organization, the management, the structure? So we really have a great methodology because we have these associates to really go deep into each organization they're working with.
So you mentioned job benchmarking a couple of 3 times. Can you explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so the job benchmarking or job matching is really just the process of before going in to do any work, whether it's just a team building session or hiring, succession planning, on-the-job development, whatever it might be, we would want to first look at what does that specific position call for, and then we can use that benchmark to compare people back to that, whether we're hiring or developing, planning on succession planning, whatever it might be. Because if you think about it, if you went to a doctor and he were to write you a prescription and say, okay, well, you need to take 5 of these twice daily for the next 6 weeks and call me back, and he didn't actually do any diagnosis, he didn't take your blood pressure, he didn't run any tests, you didn't have to go to the lab, wouldn't you be a little concerned that maybe that prescription is not quite accurate? Kind of the same thing here.
Really?
That's why they call it practice in medicine.
So it's the same concept here is we wouldn't want to prescribe any sort of action for employees without knowing first what the job itself is calling for.
Okay, for all of our medical friends out there, that was not meant to be a slight. But anyway.
Yeah, well, Favor, why don't we go ahead and take a break here, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about this job benchmarking.
Okay.
This is Mel West.
And I'm Darrel Bowman.
And you're listening to Clay 1180.
CloudSway removes the hassle of small business financial management. Easily upload receipts, bills, invoices, POs, and other business expenses through your mobile device, email, or scanner. CloudSway automatically scans your data and matches each transaction to your bank and credit cards. Invite staff to send their corporate receipts, allowing the team to contribute and collaborate, managing all company financial data in one location. CloudSway's reports and alerts help to guard against fraud and expense abuse. CloudSway makes it easy to protect your company's most prized possession, its financial security. Visit cloudsway.com.
In today's economy, doing more with less has become the standard. Feeling overwhelmed or out of control does not have to be part of that standard. If you are looking for improved profitability and better teamwork, West Business Concepts' expertise in sales, organizational development, and finance offers real-world solutions today. West Business Concepts helps you develop clarity and focus on who matters most. Gain an edge over your competition. Visit westbusinessconcepts.com today. That's westbusinessconcepts.com.
Are you tired of maintaining or upgrading your business technology year after year just to keep up? Moore's Law states technology will keep getting faster and smaller year after year. Office and Icon is making Moore's Law obsolete by giving you infinite computing power. It's always new with unlimited resources. It's fast, affordable, secure, reliable, and flexible with endless CPU, RAM, and hard drive. Never worry about a virus, upgrades, backups, or patches again. With Office in an Icon, your office is anywhere at any time from any device. Unleash your power at officeinAnicon.com.
Tacoma's waterfront. A unique local asset providing recreational opportunities, jobs to support the local economy, and a safe haven for marine wildlife. The Tacoma Waterfront Association is dedicated to promoting Tacoma's waterfront. Join the TWA at its popular monthly meeting to learn more about Tacoma's waterfront and how you can be a part of making it great. Join the TWA on the second Wednesday of each month from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Center for Urban Waters to be a part of the community's strength that's making a difference for Tacoma's greatest asset. It's waterfront. For more info, visit TacomaWaterfrontAssociation.org. That's TacomaWaterfrontAssociation.org.
In Pierce County, 17% of residents are food insecure. That's 1 in 6 people who are unsure where their next meal is coming from. Someone you know is going hungry. What can you do about it? Help support Fish Food Banks of Pierce County. For every dollar received, Fish's 8 food bank locations can distribute $7 worth of food to families in need. To learn more about stopping hunger here in Pierce County, go to fishfoodbanks.org. That's fishfoodbanks.org.
Hey, welcome back to BizTechTalk. I'm Darrel Bowman, your IT professional.
And I'm Mel West, your business advisor.
Hey, we're here every Tuesday noon to 1 talking about business and technology with the latest and the greatest business and technology leaders out there. Today we're talking to Favor Larson, Senior Business Services Consultant with TTI Performance Systems. So we were just talking about benchmarking and so forth when we left, and we want to find out why aren't companies able to hire the right people? What do they need to do? Favor?
They really need to just start with asking, who can help me with this? My personal belief is an organization or an individual who wants to take it to the next level, that a coach or a consultant actually is definitely worthwhile. It's sometimes more helpful to go outside of your own scope to say, well, is there something that I'm missing that maybe somebody else can provide me insights to? And that's really where, the assessment piece that TTI provides is a small portion of what we help our associates provide and deliver. We do specialize in basically any area of talent management, and my particular role is to partner with our associates like Mel and say, how can we better utilize assessments so that we understand both the people that we have, what is their communication style, what motivates them, what is their development in a set of personal skills or soft skills, how do they tend to think and process information, what's their level of emotional intelligence, and also apply that same type of understanding to the positions so that you can compare back and say, well, I think that we really need to focus on our customer satisfaction scores. Maybe we've had some trouble in that area. So how can I improve that? Well, maybe it's doing some customer service skills development. Maybe it's I need to hire because we're expected to grow, or hopefully that we're recovering and we're ready to hire back some of the people we had to let go during the recession.
So, Favor, how do you know that these assessments can help in the talent management area?
The assessments are, they're pretty black and white in terms of it really will define this is the communication style an individual tends to exhibit. These are the personal skills that they currently have. So if you want to grow and develop them, they can. We have various types of validation studies in terms of, scientific studies, statistical studies. I'm not going to lie, those aren't my strong point. My validation comes when it's actually being used in the workplace, and we can say, 6 months later, this new hire is performing faster than some of the employees who've been here for 2 years because of the onboarding process and selection process we took them through, or the sales department's productivity has gone up and we've surpassed sales goals by so-and-so %. Those are really the validation that I show. We have tons of different white papers out there in terms of measurable results the assessments have brought through whether it's hiring or development, those sorts of pieces.
Now, are these things legal? I mean, do you do them before or during, or can you actually assess people that you already have on board, or do you do it before? And what's the legality surrounding all that?
That's a good question. The Department of Labor has put out some guidelines in terms of what assessments are allowed to be used in the workforce, and that question we get quite a bit. Basically, there's a few main qualifications. So the assessment has to be job-related. So TTI's patented job benchmarking process guarantees that the results are job-related. You're basically starting with the job and saying, if we could build a perfect robot to do this job, this is what the robot would look like, this is its communication style, this is what it likes to be rewarded for, these are its skills it has. So there, number one, it's job-related. The next piece is if you're using it for hiring, it needs to be a small portion of the hiring process. Industry standard is 1/3 or less of the hiring decision. So typically if you start with a resume review, so you scan through the resumes.
And why is that, though, it has to be 1/3? What's the story behind that?
1/3 is industry standard. The Department of Labor's verbiage, of course, as most legalese is a little bit vague, but basically it says it has to be a small portion. Basically, they're trying to say it can't be a pass or fail. Based on this talent assessment, you cannot choose to hire or fire just based on the assessment. So it's to avoid any sort of discriminatory practices. Where I think it actually came from is back in the 60s or maybe in the 50s. There were organizations that would do like calculus tests for, say, restaurant servers, which is completely not job related, but it was their way of being able to screen out some minorities. So I think that's where it came from. The 1/3 or less, that's just been kind of standard forever. Typically you think resume and interview, and then assessment, those are your three pieces. So the assessment is just at least 1/3, but many organizations do background checks, written interviews, panel interviews, reference checks, so there's usually a lot more to the selection process.
Could you use it also for part of the interviewing process?
Yep, that's a great question. We actually, in the job profile that you develop through the job benchmark, we provide custom interview questions based on the specific profile of the job to call out, tell me about a time that you demonstrated, whatever skill might be really needed for the job, futuristic thinking, versatility, interpersonal skills, etc. So we actually have interview questions based on the job profile that you could use.
What about for, as I mentioned earlier, people that are already on the job for promotional opportunities, things like that?
Yeah, it's actually a really good tool for either leadership development, succession planning, just on-the-job development. There's actually a lot of organizations these days who are kind of cognizant of the employees that they still have. They're probably a little stressed out. They might be slightly overworked because they're doing the jobs of 2 or 3 people instead of just one. So it's a way to kind of continue to develop and keep them engaged, showing that the company is vested in them. So again, you'd start with looking at, okay, the job that you want, this is what the profile looks like. You might want to focus on like your goal achievement or planning and organizing, or whatever skills may be not as strong for you. Maybe we'll focus on those development for your leadership training or for getting a new promotion. Or team building. We do also have 5 key leadership skills that all top leaders have, so there's leadership development you could do. It really is, there's no real limit to how the assessments can be used.
Well, how many employees do I have to be able to use these things?
You don't even have to have, you could be a sole entrepreneur just wanting to focus on your own development. There's no minimum or maximum.
So you can take a test to hire or fire yourself? I'm just checking.
Well, now, I'm just going to go ahead and throw out the legal caveat that the assessment should not be used for any negative decisions in the employment world. But if you are a sole entrepreneur, maybe you want to say, gosh, you know what, I'm really good at the sales process, but this whole back office, being organized, being, planning, detail orientation, those sorts of things is where I struggle. Maybe I might want a coach to help me in those areas, or maybe I need help with strategic thinking. And assessments are often used in all of these different stages of business development to really get to what do you want, where is your purpose, kind of like you'd mentioned at the very beginning. It's really broadening your horizons by becoming more self-aware of who you are right now versus where you want to go in the future.
It's all about understanding yourself first, and then moving forward with a plan, whether that's using a coach or advisor or something like that.
So what if I decide I just need to fire myself? Get a coach. In other words, that might be the best process in finding a coach and saying, this is where, like you said, how do I focus?
Well, and none of these, and you can help out with this, Favor, but none of these are pass or fail. It's really about pointing out, where are you strong and where are some of your weak areas, and not are they, say if you're using the disc, it's not that one is better than the other. It's just where your tendencies lie.
When you say disc, I keep thinking of a disc. You're going to throw a disc out there. So, and I'm sure. What do you mean by that?
Well, that's where Favor was talking about dominance, influence, stability, and control, compliance.
DISC. In other words, for disc. Yeah. Okay. So, how are these things developed? I mean, what do you do to develop these assessments? How do they go about creating them and understanding it and knowing that what you've said about this person is through all these testing and so forth is what you think. So how is that all done?
Sure. Most of the assessment tools that TTI uses have been around for quite some time. The behavioral model DISC was actually developed by a gentleman named Marston back in 1928. Motivators, strangely enough, was also developed in 1928 by a gentleman named Spranger. So most of the tools that we use are more assessments that traditionally you find in psychological settings. Our founder, Bill Bonstetter, is very focused on helping businesses improve. And so he first learned about the DISC model in the 70s and decided that, there's a way we could computerize it. So he and his son, Dave, actually have a patent on the online delivery of assessments. And it started with behaviors. But as we started to find all of these different psychological models, we have another one that does kind of acumen, which is from the 1960s. The newest assessment tool we use, emotional intelligence, started up, Daniel Goleman started writing about emotional intelligence in the 80s. So most of the tools, the theory, has been around and time-tested for years and years and years. We have a lot of experience through online assessments, online delivery, questionnaire creation, those sorts of pieces. But typically we tend to use assessments that were more used in the psychological setting that have a lot of business impact. So that's basically where they started coming from.
So how does the psychological stuff have a business impact?
Well, if you think about it, people are psychological beings, basically, right? So all of these concepts that typically were more, from just a curiosity, wanting to qualify human behavior, wanting to qualify drives and motivations of people. The psychological setting is not necessarily business-minded, like how can we actually use this to help improve the lives of people? Or the business performance of businesses. But I think what you've seen in the past is businesses tended to have a philosophy of leave your baggage at the door, come in, do your work, and then leave. But the reality is, especially in how quickly businesses move today, it's very hard to separate work from home. It's very hard to separate business stress from personal skills. So it actually has a ton to do with the business setting because of the nature of humans in general. There's not a button that you can turn off, only do your work. You get the whole package when you hire someone to come to the job. So it's to an organization's best interest to help them understand themselves and leverage their strengths and work around their weaknesses as best as possible.
Fantastic. I think, Favor, this is a good place for us to take a break. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the accuracy of these assessments.
Okay.
You're listening to BizTechTalk on Clay 1180.
And I'm Darrel Bowman.
And I'm Mel West. We'll be right back.
CloudSway removes the hassle of small business financial management. Easily upload receipts, bills, invoices, POs, and other business expenses through your mobile device, email, or scanner. CloudSway automatically scans your data and matches each transaction to your bank and credit cards. Invite staff to send their corporate receipts, allowing the team to contribute and collaborate, managing all company financial data in one location. CloudSway's reports and alerts help to guard against fraud and expense abuse. CloudSway makes it easy to protect your company's most prized possession, its financial security. Visit cloudsway.com.
Few things say more about your business than the quality of the photos in your ads and on your website. Corporate photographer Rick Dom specializes in custom photography for discriminating corporations around the world and right here in Tacoma. Rick's photos have graced the pages of Forbes, Fortune, Barron's, the Wall Street Journal, and the marketing materials of a host of great American companies. Companies like yours. See what Rick Dom's photography can do for your business on the web at rickdoms.com. RICKDAHMS.com.
AimBiz.com brings you the life of a business website. The majority of business websites can't be found by search engines, so their owners lose customers and money. An AIM Business website wins new customers on Google and Facebook. Imagine your website with great content management, an integrated blog, clean designs, and clear messages. To top it off, at AimBiz.com, you get a free website design mock-up before you ever spend a dime. For more information, go to AimBiz.com. That's AIMBIZ.com.
Tacoma's waterfront. A unique local asset providing recreational opportunities, jobs to support the local economy, and a safe haven for marine wildlife. The Tacoma Waterfront Association is dedicated to promoting Tacoma's waterfront. Join the TWA at its popular monthly meeting to learn more about Tacoma's waterfront and how you can be a part of making it great. Join the TWA on the second Wednesday of each month from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Center for Urban Waters to be a part of the community strength that's making a difference for Tacoma's greatest asset. It's waterfront. For more info, visit TacomaWaterfrontAssociation.org. That's TacomaWaterfrontAssociation.org.
In Pierce County, 17% of residents are food insecure. That's 1 in 6 people who are unsure where their next meal is coming from. Someone you know is going hungry. What can you do about it? Help support Fish Food Banks of Pierce County. For every dollar received, Fish's 8 food bank locations can distribute $7 worth of food to families in need. To learn more about stopping hunger here in Pierce County, go to fishfoodbanks.org. That's fishfoodbanks.org.
Hey, welcome back to BizTechTalk. I'm Darrel Bowman, your IT professional.
And I'm Mel West, your business advisor.
Every Tuesday, noon to 1, we're here talking about all the latest and greatest in business and technology. And today we're here with Favor Larson, who's Senior Business Services Consultant with TTI Performance Systems. And before the break, we actually started getting into a little bit of discussions about assessments and accuracy. We were talking about that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's what's important is how accurate are these?
You know, that's a really good question. Accuracy is measured through several different types of accuracy. So there is face validity, which basically you would ask the respondent, does this represent you? Do you agree with these results? And all of our assessments do have a high level of face validity. There's also more statistical accuracy in terms of, for those of you that are familiar with the Crohn's alpha, basically for an assessment, regardless of...
Well, I'm sure not very many people are with Crohn's alpha. You got me going on that one. A Crohn's alpha. Okay, is that a cocktail?
CROHNS, Crohn's alpha. Basically, it's...
Can I order that at a bar?
I don't know what you'll get if you do.
Okay. So what is Crohn's alpha real quick before we move on to that?
It's a statistical analyzation of the questionnaire to validate whether the responses are accurate or not. And for any assessment, you should be asking, what's the validation? Do you use a Crohn's alpha? And the minimum is a 0.6, and all of our assessments score at a 0.8 or higher.
You're right. I wouldn't know what I'd get for an answer at a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and it's interesting. That's where she's talking a lot about statistics. But
right.
Whenever I work with somebody and they, maybe they're upset or not, I wouldn't say it necessarily upset, but they disagree with the assessment. And I say, well, why don't you take it home and talk with your wife or your significant other? Ask somebody that's close to you that knows you. And typically they come back and say, yeah, okay, it's pretty accurate.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Favor.
Yeah. So I mean, Well, from a statistical validation, there's a lot of things that we do on the back end. To most people, and I think to Mel's point, it's more of validation for yourself. We do offer what we call 360 surveys, and so a lot of individuals, especially kind of where they might say, you know what, I'm not sure I personally agree with these results, even though it is based on exactly how they, qualified themselves. What we'll say is, well, why don't we do a 360 and see what other people see you demonstrating? Because a lot of times from a coaching perspective, it's a lack of self-awareness that who I think I am is not actually what's being delivered in the workplace. So that is a great way, although sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow, of validating the results, because I would say most people tend to agree with the results. I would say like 98% of the time. And the 2% that don't is often because they have self-awareness, perhaps issues. So if you do a 360...
So that's a tough pill to swallow.
It is a tough pill to swallow. Here's what everyone else also sees. They're agreeing with the results. Now what would you like to do about your development?
Fired. There we go.
So, Favor, as a business owner and our listeners out there, why should they care about these assessments, and why should they be interested in using them in their workplace? You know what? The bottom line is most businesses are for profit. So most businesses, their number one focus is how profitable are we. And as we've come through this recession, they've probably pared down to the bare minimum. They probably have the best deals on any equipment or hardware, but a lot of organizations kind of forget that without the people running the business, there's not so much business. So if you have highly productive, engaged, superior performers, your level of business performance is going to far exceed what you had thought. So think about, what if I could improve engagement? Statistics show most employees on average are disengaged approximately 2 hours a day, and that's a low statistic. That was pre-recession. So what if I could get a half an hour back of productive work for my employees every day? What if I could improve sales revenues because of customer retention, because we're giving them better service? What if we had less mistakes because we had the right people who could follow rules and instructions?
Well, you're talking about these numbers were before Facebook, right?
Yeah, I think it was actually like 2008 was the 2.5 hour.
Now it's probably, if I can get half my day back, it'd be great.
So,
yeah.
Favor, do you have some hard numbers or some other statistics that show the cost of a bad hire?
That it really depends. We actually have metrics to go in and look at your specific organization, but typically a bad hire is going to cost you anywhere from 3 to 5 times that year's salary, because you got to think about what does that do to performance of current employees. In fact, a bad apple, and I hate to use that word, but a bad apple can bring down performance of surrounding employees by up to 30%. So not only do you have that bad person, but you've got all the surrounding employees being brought down, lost customer contacts, lost sales opportunities, management times wasting their time. So 3 to 5 times salary is pretty significant. So when you look at that, you can say, well, if we were to utilize assessments, maybe the upfront cost might be higher than our traditional selection.
So how much do these usually, how long do they take, and how much do they cost?
Well, how much they cost is really, it depends on how specific you want. Do you just need to do a quick team building session, or do you really want all the bells and whistles? So the cost can vary, as well as the time. If you just want the more basic, most common assessment, the behaviors or DISC, takes maybe 10 minutes to complete that assessment. Our full battery, taking behaviors, motivators, skills, and acumen, and if you add in EQ, probably would take you a full hour. So it depends on how much or how little information you want about the job or the individuals. And then cost really depends on, is it just a one-on-one coaching opportunity? Is it selection of 3,000 employees in the next 12 months? It kind of depends, so I can't really nail that one down. But it's more reasonable than you might think when you compare to all the potential savings and increased revenue you might get.
Well, that's fantastic. Hey, this has been a really great, we're coming to the end of the hour here, and just want to make sure that we make sure if we're looking for this kind of a service, then we're talking to somebody at West Business Concepts, looking up on the westbusinessconcepts.com, going out there and finding out what you can see on their site, looking through the opportunities and saying, hey, get me started. That's kind of where we're at with that. Is that about right?
Yep, that is exactly right.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Favor, thanks so much for joining us today. We've got a couple things to say to close out, but we'll catch up with you soon, and we do thank you for taking the time, and this has been some valuable information. I'm sure a lot of folks are going to be taking advantage of it.
Favor, thanks again for joining us.
Okay. Hey, as always, Mel and I like to thank everybody for taking the time from their busy day to join us as we share and explore the world of business and technology every week on BizTechTalk, right here, Tuesdays, noon to 1 on Clay 1180. And don't forget, thank our veterans. Go out there and do what you can to help and support those veterans, as we talked about at the top of the hour. And over this weekend, we all supported as Memorial Day, but, Support the veterans, support the veteran businesses, and do what you can to help those individuals.
Yeah, and join us next week as we're going to be talking about franchising and how setting up a franchise in your business could help you, but also as somebody that's maybe looking at getting into business for themselves, maybe franchising is a great way to go. And so we'll have our Washington State Veteran Champion of the Year joining us next week, Natalie Barnes.
Hey, you keep running into those folks all over the place. My gosh. And that's fantastic. Another vet done good. Yeah. And, I can't say enough about veterans here. This is a town of veterans and a country where only 1% of people have actually served. And we are the 99% that needs to support that 1%, in my opinion. So whatever we can do, let's do it, and do it on a routine basis, not just Veterans Day and Memorial Day every year.
But but we also want to hear some other topics that you'd like us to talk about. So you could send us an email at info@biztechtalk.net.
And thanks for joining us. I'm Darrel Bowman, your IT professional.
And I'm Mel West, your business advisor.
Hey, every week, Clay 1180. Thanks again.
CloudSway removes the hassle of small business financial management. Easily upload receipts, bills, invoices, POs, and other business expenses through your mobile device, email, or scanner. CloudSway automatically scans your data and matches each transaction to your bank and credit cards. Invite staff to send their corporate receipts, allowing the team to contribute and collaborate, managing all company financial data in one location. CloudSway's reports and alerts help to guard against fraud and expense abuse. CloudSway makes it easy to protect your company's most prized possession, its financial security. Visit cloudsway.com.
In today's economy, doing more with less has become the standard. Feeling overwhelmed or out of control does not have to be part of that standard. If you are looking for improved profitability and better teamwork, West Business Concepts' expertise in sales, organizational development, and finance offers real-world solutions today. West Business Concepts helps you develop clarity and focus on who matters most. Gain an edge over your competition. Visit westbusinessconcepts.com today. That's westbusinessconcepts.com.
Are you tired of maintaining or upgrading your business technology year after year just to keep up? Moore's Law states technology will keep getting faster and smaller year after year. Office N and Icon is making Moore's Law obsolete by giving you infinite computing power. It's always new with unlimited resources. It's fast, affordable, secure, reliable, and flexible with endless CPU, RAM, and hard drive. Never worry about a virus, upgrades, backups, or patches again. With Office N and Icon, your office is anywhere at any time from any device. Unleash your power at OfficeNandIcon.com.